Tuesday, 21st September 2021. We have in the studio Mr. C. Good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning, Aya. Good morning, Valentine. Good morning,
Morning.
Lagos.
Thanks very much for that. And then we have Wadi. Morning, Wadi. How are you today?
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Valentine. Good morning,
Good
Mr. Said.
morning.
Good morning, Lagos.
Good morning all round.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, if you want to be a part of the show, we'd love for you to, contribute, send in your message, comments. You can do so by sending to WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 0809 444
And then you can send on YouTube, leave a comment on that YouTube platform. Type Smooth FM Lagos to find us and subscribe. And please share that link. Let's start with this first story, Mr. C, from this day newspaper. No more open grazing in Lagos as Sanwo-Olu signs bill into law. And this is coming 11 days after the State House of Assembly passed the bill. The bill, or the law, expressly prohibits open grazing in the states, which is interpreted as unapproved public areas and private land. It's prohibited, to this the herders in Lagos. And this we know is an effect, or rather an after effect from the general perception from this southwest and south-south states. But based on the precedents, Mr. C, what are your thoughts on this new law and how it's hoped to be implemented?
Okay, thank you, Valentine. So, first of all, the governor assenting to this bill is only in line with the resolution passed by the Southern Governors Forum in August 2021. And the deadline for all the southern states to pass their respective state laws banning open grazing is the end of this month. So it's in line with that general agreement, collective agreement. Now, it's important that we understand why this law was passed. In time past, in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 20th century, it was okay for people to move with their cattle from place to place. But in today's times, in today's climes, it is no longer sustainable. And ranching is the preferred method employed everywhere else. Now, we have seen, and it's a good thing these laws have been passed because we have seen a change in the rhetoric from Mieti Allah. Initially, their position was it would never happen, they can't pass the laws, and they will continue to do this because that's what their forefathers passed on to them. But guess what? Now they're pleading for time, and there's been an interesting development in Ondo State. Recently, they gathered a group of pastoralists together, and they were trained on the feedlot system, which is very close to the ranching model.
Beautiful.
And they're happy about it, and they're asking for funding. Now, if they're asking for funding for that, the government could consider giving them loans with very low interest rates because the truth of the matter is we don't have the money to dash anybody. And at the end of the day, cattle rearing is still a private business.
And profitable business.
It's profitable, but essentially it is a private business. So the government can create an enabling platform, an enabling background for them to migrate from roaming around to staying in a place. And when you ranch, there's better output, there's healthier output. And then when the stress of from the security perspective is reduced. Of course, the criminal elements amongst them will still not want to obey the laws, but generally it will help improve the security situation. It will help improve and start to repair the relationships between them and farmers. Because when you have ranches, the farmers can then bring some of their crops and exchange for meat. But in the current climate, this is a very good move, and it will stop the incidents of cattle roaming around in Lagos. I'm sure some of us have seen that happen, and it will stop it, and it's being criminalized. Now, interestingly, in this story, the domestic and sexual violence response team has now been upgraded to an agency. That is very good news.
Yes.
That's cheering news. And with that upgrade, they're better equipped and better placed to continue to prosecute and tackle the rising cases of domestic violence in Lagos State.
And I
And
just,
sorry?
Sorry.
Also to add that this would preempt the establishment of the Sexual Offenders Register. And it's something that has been spoken about for many, a couple of times. People asking for that sex offenders register to be established.
Sorry, Valentine, I'm already aware that the sexual offenders register in Lagos is already active. So maybe this just formally incorporates it because there's already an existing sexual offenders register.
I was just going to say kudos to the now executive secretary of the agency, Titi Vival Adeni, who's done excellent work. She was the head of the team of the DSVRT, and now been upgraded to executive secretary. Yes.
And she's been on this show on Lagos Talk Special here at Smooth. Also to add, in other reports, it's the governor, I mean, by the assent of this bill, or signing into law, it makes it a criminal offense. Beyond that, the punishment for a header caught with arms is up to 20 years in prison. Yeah. So let's move on to this next story. Thank you so much, DC, for that apt analysis. The Punch newspaper reports on the Independent National Electoral Commission saying it will suspend the pre-registration of voters in Lagos from today till the 21st of September to allow for, till the 24th of September to allow for people to come forward to make claims and objections and make corrections necessary if found on their biodata. What are your thoughts, please?
Well, I think it's in line with what the program is generally. Every quarter, you get people to register, and then they come back and confirm all those things have been done properly. So at the end of the quarter, and the last week of the quarter, the registration team would publish physically what you put on your registration details, and you can confirm that, and also get people to talk about those who are no longer in the country, whether they should be on the register, those who are probably passed on, how you can take them off the register and all. And it gives you an opportunity to actually go there physically for those who have not done their fingerprints and all, to be able to do that and cross-check that all information that has been provided is correct. Sometimes you think you've written your name correctly, and then you get there and then you find out it's the other way around. So this is what is going to happen over the next 1 year till June next year, and it's just routine.
Beyond just publishing it in the news, I would hope that there's more sensitization on the part of INEC in making publications on newspapers. Yes, that's one. That's fine, but also putting on television, local television stations,
Yeah, and
announcing on radio, sponsoring radio ads.
In all languages if possible. But at least now we know.
Especially on Smooth FM, of course.
Of course.
Now that we know what the process really is, because we didn't really see the timetable. What you just said was it was going to kick off in June, and we continually encourage people to go and register. But now we know that at the last week of every quarter, you would go and review those things and ensure that what information has been provided is the right one.
September 24th is just in 3 days. So I don't think many people, it would be wrong for me to assume that many people know that there's an ongoing voters registration exercise. Most people don't know, as surprising as that may sound. So sensitization is key.
Really big.
Then I will blame some of those people, because there are a number of, even beyond INEC, a number of independent NGOs, we both who came on Lagos Talk as well, have been quite big on doing that. I do agree with you. Perhaps going more into communities, marketplaces, not just on social media. Yes. So yeah.
Thank you. Mr. C, let's get back to this story. Remember, you can send messages through WhatsApp 0809444981. Premium Times reports that on banditry, Sokoto shuts down telco networks, telecommunications networks in 14 local government areas. It said they sought the approval and got the approval from the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Pantami, before enforcing the ban. While the reason is being given as security concerns in that area, first it was Zamfara. Yesterday we heard that they extended the ban on telcos. Okay, so let's make it very clear, because I heard some people asking the question, you call them mundane questions, but they're necessary. Banning the telcos or shutting down telcos means you can't call, you can't SMS, you can't use your phone, pretty much. If extended in Zamfara to another month or indefinitely, this is happening again in Sokoto. Is this exactly about security, or is there something else? Is it a test run? I mean, there's speculation, so I'm just lending voice to those. What are your thoughts?
Okay, thank you, Valentine. So, we're all witnesses to how the security situation in Nigeria has degenerated over time. Now, the security agencies and the government have now resorted to shutting down telecommunication services, and it also affects the internet, Valentine. So, the whole of Zamfara state has been shut down communication-wise 13 local governments in Katsina, which incidentally is the home state of the president. Now, 14 of the 23 local governments in Sokoto have been shut down, ostensibly to face the security challenges. Now, the first question that comes to my mind and should come to the mind of some Nigerians is, during that period, if we are attacked by these people we are supposedly chasing and fighting, how do we call for help?
Thank you. Number one question.
If we see a movement of suspicious bandits or kidnappers or terrorists moving to a location, how do we alert the security agencies that a group of unknown gunmen, as the government likes to call them, is on the move?
I mean, this is hoped that, I mean, they say the intent is to stop the bandits from having access to telecommunication services, but you raised a valid point. But so could you assume, and on what premise would you assume that maybe the security operatives are putting measures in place, to feed into these gaps?
So we don't know how exactly they're using these bands to sort out the security situation. And then remember that SIM cards were supposedly linked to national identity numbers. So if that is the case, and you say part of it also is to prevent the bandits from communicating with each other, how are they doing it?
Don't forget it wasn't completed. We're not even near 20%.
No. But even then, the point is there should be no SIM operational that is not linked to a national identity number. Should not, but Nigeria is a land of...
But that's an ideal situation. We're very far from it.
Good. Now, beyond that, this is a government that has a huge trust deficit. Now, we're all sitting down in Lagos and saying it's over there. And then tomorrow, what if they now say they're shutting down telecommunication services in Lagos and ostensibly cite security concerns? I'm worried about a minister being able to approve the shutdown. Where let's balance his right as a public officer against the rights of the citizens. I would love to see this ability to approve telecommunication shutdowns challenged in court, because I want to see the arguments the government will put forward before a judge.
Let me just point out as well that the governor of Sokoto, Mr. Tambuwal, has said the 7 governors of the region. So just to mention that Zamfara and Sokoto are just 2 out of 7. So potentially all 7 states would shut down.
Could
That potentially could shut down telecommunications in their state. This is heavy. This is big. Like you mentioned, what's stopping them from saying due to security reasons, or the people that they've shut them down in the 7 states have moved to the south, we need to shut down the ones.
And when it comes to that point, if it comes to that point, the statistic will be given, and it will set a very strong precedent to why other states should come
Okay,
back.
but mark this space. These same states they have shut down telecommunication networks for. Mark this space. Come election day 2023, watch the turnout recorded for those states.
How would we know? No pictures to share on social
No
media.
phone calls,
No.
text messages.
No way to live.
Oh, by inference, no electronic transmission of data.
Yeah, but
True.
I think this is a big topic, and I think we need to think beyond just, oh yes, they're shutting down
Because of security.
Yes, the governor is making claims, and I call them claims because he hasn't verified them. That they've had a reduced incident of banditry, terrorism in that area. But how can
Based
you
on
prove
what
it?
metrics
Yeah,
it
based
says.
on
And
what?
so, let me address this. Yeah, some of the governors were better responsible, especially the Zamfara state governor, and I'll tell you why I say so. Initially, he had a program where he was paying these idiots money to stop their nonsense.
Yeah, what?
Okay. Yeah, I get you.
He was paying these criminals money, and this is Zamfara state that is not a rich state.
Yeah, but that's the same guy that came out to say, you know what, in hindsight, he made a mistake. He shouldn't have negotiated with them.
Now, having admitted that mistake, he incidentally has funded the ability to buy weapons, the ability to restock.
Right.
Now, in all of this, the governor sat down and took a decision. Do we have resolutions passed by the various state houses of assembly in that region
To support
support
such
this?
resolutions?
Yes.
Okay.
And then 2, the civil society groups, do they plan to challenge this?
We don't have network.
Because next thing we hear in the East, they want to do this. And once it starts, if you don't challenge it quickly, it
Comes
spreads
about
like a fever. It spreads like an infection.
Who could challenge this? I mean, okay, so let's assume that maybe by presidential directive, Wild's imagination, the presidential directive now gives security operatives the power to shut down telco networks in the East. Could the governor challenge it or stand in the way of such?
No, a governor could challenge it because he acts literally as a trustee for the people in the state.
Thank you so much, Mr. C. and Wade. Let's get back to you for this next story. Nigeria not interested in naming, shaming alleged terrorism sponsors, says presidency. Presidential spokesperson Femi Adesina replied with this, responding to questions and possible topics of discussion by the president, Muhammadu Buhari, at the United Nations General Assembly scheduled to begin today. What are your thoughts, please?
So this is a very interesting statement from the presidential spokesman. Now, when he says Nigeria is not interested in naming and shaming, but rather bringing them to justice, the question remains, what steps has the Nigerian government taken so far? He has informed us, or he has claimed that the matters at different stages of investigations by the respective security agencies. Now, again, who are these people, and why is there a difficulty in naming and identifying them? Because if the UAE, that doesn't have a physical problem of Boko Haram or terrorism, can name them, why are we afraid of them? Why is the Nigerian state afraid of naming them? Because at the point where you name them, you brought charges against them, they're in court.
So, Mr. C, I'm glad you're a lawyer and you're bringing this legal perspective to this. Which is a bigger risk? Revealing the identities of these people in terms of national security.
Okay.
Revealing the identities of these people or hiding the identities, which is a bigger risk? Because it seems like it would seem like the government is taking the stance of protecting the identities of these individuals as a matter of national security. But which is more inimical to national security, revealing their names or keeping them hidden?
Okay. In an ideal situation, it would be bad to reveal their names when
investigations.
investigations are still ongoing.
I see.
In an ideal situation. Now,
Why don't you think it's ideal?
now in Nigeria, I'm not so sure it's ideal because we don't know. I'm not going to speculate. We don't know whether they're being investigated, and if they're being investigated, what stage the investigations are at. Now, what is clear is that the terrorists in Nigeria have continued to operate with relatively large success because their funding supplies have not been cut off substantially. And they haven't been cut off substantially because, for whatever reason, these unidentified sponsors haven't been gone after. If you begin to shut down the accounts, restrict the accounts, stop chasing fintech companies, go after these guys that have accounts. No, seriously.
We're laughing
very
because the
correct.
obvious truth.
Yeah, very correct.
I mean, they seem to be
So,
overwhelmed
yeah,
with
so-
BDCs, fintech, and
And
all
that is what the
Yeah.
UAE did. Restricted their accounts, restricted their assets. Now, when you begin to do that to the Nigerian sponsors, to the people who are sympathetic to Boko Haram and allied criminal activity, you will then notice a drop. Now, it must be said, kidnapping and abduction are the trading arms of Boko Haram. And you have Boko Haram, you won't identify the sponsors. You have the kidnappers and abductors. Where you catch them, they're put in the court system, and then we don't know what's going on. Evans, where are we with Evans?
Putting it simply, if somebody is being investigated, would it be right, legally right, to freeze their accounts in the interim?
Yes, you
Yes.
can. Yes, because if the person has access to those funds, he can interfere with the investigation.
Thank
All right,
you so much.
let's go on to our next story. Thank you so much, Mr. Cisco Delgado says on WhatsApp.
Shutting down telecommunications company towers in northern states will curb the issues of insecurity, because to me it's more like a collateral damage in the sense that security operations, civilians will be affected. United Arab Emirates has named the people involved in Boko Haram sponsorship. Why hide them?
And then Austin from Satellite says about shutting down telecommunications. Southeast is their target. Okay. They're using all right. So he's speculating. We won't thank you very much, though. We won't take that further. But let's move on to our next story. Wade Ngige pleads with resident doctors to resume work. Minister of Labour and Productivity Dr. Chris Ngige yesterday appealed to striking resident doctors to resume work. So it's now come from negotiation, promise, now I beg. In quotes, go back to work, please. And he's even used his family, my family.
No, you skipped the part. Promise, negotiation, threat.
Right?
Threat.
Yes,
There was a lawsuit.
yes,
And
yes.
well, they have a court order.
No,
There's a court
There's
order.
a court order.
Yes.
Okay, and then I beg.
And now it's
Because
beg.
was their beg now overshadowed the court order?
My brother,
Well,
desperate
well,
times call for
desperate-
desperate
yes,
measures.
It's ironical that Dr. Ngige is today making statements that they should please go back to work and using his family members as examples of doctors and those who are going to qualify, the daughter that just qualified. But you are not paying these people. They're risking their lives. So what do you want them to do? There's a court order and they've said they are going to challenge it. Initially you went to court and you asked for something else. So what gimmicks are you playing? They've sat down on the negotiation tables with you severally and you have come up with nothing. So what exactly are you talking about? Well, for the good of society, I would ask that the resident doctors go back first and foremost, and like he says, go and renegotiate with them and see where it goes to. But the first thing is that government should also show some form of commitment by first and foremost even paying some of these outstandings that are due to them. They've not done that. They've not done anything. Instead, all you've been doing is beating around the bush and saying nothing. It's the healthcare system in Nigeria, like we know and we continually said, is just in shambles. I don't blame them, and more people are leaving the country to get better things to do. So,
Well, I mean, okay, I have some creative ways they can raise money. Rather, the best I beg, I would say, would be show me the money. It's
yeah,
not
which is what I
about,
said.
I mean, you're saying that he's asking them to come back to work and then can go and negotiate. Oh, so you did not negotiate?
No, that's what I said. I said you have not even shown any commitment.
Yes.
Pay something now.
Exactly.
At least show some form of
Show me
commitment
the
and
money.
show me something, and then I will come back and then we can continue from where we are. But every time you go to the negotiation table with the labor minister, you come out worse. It's not just doctors, lawyers, lecturers.
That's not a good thing.
It's
But
not.
yeah.
Sorry, Owadi, I think it's extremely irresponsible and almost criminal to expect people to show up for work day in, day out and not pay them. Now, the National Assembly, who have supposedly distinguished human beings, will not even offer to donate part of their salaries and mysterious allowances to sort out this. And meanwhile, each of them is the representative of a constituency to which the National Association of Resident Doctors, or
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Mr. C. Let's go on to this one from The Guardian. Bill to create 111 additional electoral seats for women skilled second region. All right. So we don't have money to pay doctors, but want to create more seats so that we can have more people that we can give more salary and allowances to. So from The Guardian, a bill to provide more representation for women in government by creating, like I mentioned, 111 additional seats as skilled second region. So, Wade, what's your take on this? Sentiment.
I'm all for gender equality.
Yeah.
Don't get me
Excuse me,
wrong.
what's
Wait, now Valentine,
Well,
calm down. I'm all for gender opportunities and all, but this is for me is ridiculous. 111 new seats. Create a level playing ground, and anybody who wants to go into politics, we've seen in Australia, we've seen in the Scandinavian countries. I can't remember which. I think is it Finland or so. Prime Minister is a woman.
It's
Top
Finland.
5 people are women,
Yes.
and they are in their 30s. What are we talking about? Why are we continually doing quota systems for all these things?
No,
and-
so
and
in terms
So,
of
so quota system, thank you.
That's my point
Hold
here.
on, when you hit the nail on the head of quota
Why are we
system,
doing
but
quota systems
back
for all
to
these
my
things?
first thought. So my first thought was why create 111 extra?
Extra seats.
Why not give up your seat?
Exactly.
Because that speaks to the willingness of
Why not
Of
create
us men?
yeah,
giving room
for gender
for the
equality?
women to come
Yeah.
replace us.
Okay, so let me provide an alternative context, and let's take into reality the Nigerian situation. How many married women or how many women will be comfortable to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning to attend political meetings?
Valentine,
more than you
Valentine,
expect.
wait.
Sorry,
Sorry,
that's
Mr. C,
yes.
sorry.
I know.
Wait now, don't go anywhere yet. See, top executives today, every day we see MD of GT Bank, you name them, MD of FCMB. More see, if you want to do these things, then you would have, there are some prices that you would have to pay. But it doesn't mean that you are going to neglect your family. The Prime Minister in Australia is a woman. She just wait now. I mean, not in New Zealand. She just had a baby. These are things that and for you as for we as
I want
men.
Mr. C to
Wait
land
now.
his point.
And
No,
for,
no, I
no,
didn't
for we
land.
as men, for we as men, there are other things that we can give up. And you see, when
Like?
looking after the family.
But this is not exactly giving up anything.
No, we're not giving up anything. What you are just
You're
trying to
just
do is
bringing
create new
extra
things
chairs into
and
the
then bring in
economy.
another 111
No,
seats.
but it
It's
has been
remember,
proven.
remember,
Yeah.
it's taxpayers' funds that is going to fund these things. These monies that we cannot generate, and we're going to create 111 new seats to the 300 and what? That's almost 400 seats. And like you said, you were complaining that they can't donate money from their pockets to pay doctors.
No, no, no,
Okay,
no.
let Mr. C
So
finish
I, know,
his point. Thank you,
I
Adrian.
agree that it's not realistic right now, but here's the thing, especially in parts of Nigeria where it is almost impossible for a lady to contest, let alone win. So the truth of the matter is, until we take certain steps to try to redress the imbalance a little, we will continue to face situations where the two chambers of National Assembly are almost dominated by men.
So it's not okay. So I hear you, both of you, in terms of it's not a matter of creating seats. It's a matter of creating an enabling environment for women to thrive.
It's about standing up for a woman to sit down.
You don't have to
And
stand
not,
up.
not,
If
not
you
trying to be
create a-
patronizing, but also be willing to consider the fact that, oh, this woman could actually know better than me or represent better, giving women a chance. I sound like a feminist, but I make no apologies for that. But really, if we're going to speak to truth and speak to growth, these are some of the things that we should make ourselves uncomfortable to accept. Let's just say give us a chance. Let this happen. Let's see if it works.
All right, yeah. So create a level playing field for all to be able to have access.
No, final word, let
yeah.
merit and merit alone select the candidate.
Thank you.
Exactly.
No, I in that one, I think we need to take it to Lagos Talks 981. I do know and that affirmative action works, especially where you have a climate that is toxic to a particular
Gender.
group of people, whether gender or from a particular place. Why do we have the federal character principle if it's just based on
We're not going
merit?
to follow
So
it.
that already trumps that merit argument because it's not always based on merit in Nigeria. Do you understand?
Please.
But
We
let's
have
move on to
messages here.
yeah.
Chineke from Ikeja says, how can we claim we want democracy and still be clamoring for seats for women and presidency for a particular region? Is democracy no longer based on who a greater number of people choose? Cisco Delgado says, since Nigerian political system is not working with men being the majority, let women be involved. Let's see if things will work. Tyre says, states that would be taken over by men eventually. Let's watch and see.
Seats, Selby.
Let's see
All right,
today.
let's go on to our next story. Manufacturers demand for forex near $2 billion amid scarcity, weak climate or weak naira. Uwade, please, I'd like your thoughts on this one from the Guardian.
Naira is continually depreciating every day. Initially, the truth of it is that CBN can't fund the Naira, and they don't have enough sources of getting Naira into the country. If you go through the story,
Dollars, you mean?
I mean dollars, sorry, into the country. If you go through the story, a lot of economists are talking about liberating how funds come in. You know that they went on sometime earlier in the year saying that, oh, for every dollar that you bring in, we'll give you an extra £5. So what you need to do is create that environment where people can actually get this dollar into the country, which is not happening. You're strangulating the BDCs. Manufacturing is going downwards, and that's why you see food inflation continually skyrocketing. But if you also go through the story, one of the things that has come to play is more and more people are going into the crypto area.
It's banned in Nigeria though, so.
It's banned in Nigeria, but people are looking for where best to save their money, because your 1 naira today is less than 1 naira tomorrow. And one area they're going into is where you call the USDT, the Tether, which is a cryptocurrency that is pegged against the dollar. So more and more people are investing in that, and It's a really really long story. But how do we get out
Yes,
of it?
it is.
I think the essential issue here is the fact that most companies actually pay expatriates. They have expatriates working for them or providing contractual services. These people are paid in dollars, not paid in naira.
We have
So how do you source funds? Exactly. I mean, there's school fees and all that conversation.
School fees,
But in
there's
terms
services.
of manufacturing, in terms of industry, in terms of paying bills that you have to pay, you have to source for dollar. How do you get it if CBN does not have enough? And mind you, if you're getting dollars, for instance, if you find a way to get a vendor or somebody to pay you money from another country, CBN will flag your account, could possibly flag your account if they see a large amount of money in foreign currency coming into your funds, your accounts.
Yeah,
and,
but
and that's an issue.
and that's why some of the economists are saying that a lot of, okay, so for instance, foreign, I mean, diaspora monies that are coming in, a lot of it are not coming into Nigeria directly. So what happens is I give you the naira and then you look for an account somewhere that they pay it into. What you need to do is make some of these things a bit more flexible so that these currencies can actually come into Nigeria.
Yeah.
But
All right.
it's CBN that has to do that.
All right, thank you so very much. We're out of time, and I look forward to Lagos Talks 91. I have a feeling it's going to be very interesting. Please let the women come out. I'd like us to have this debate on these additional seats for women and how to scale up having women, more women in, get involved in politics. For Olumide, thanks for your comments. I did mention federal character principle, not policy.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you so much, Wade, for your contribution. Thank you, Mr. C. And thank you to all our listeners and those who've sent in comments. Let's take this further during Lagos Talks 91 in exactly 8 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Headlines. The story.
Thank you.
The